Hi everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to create an impressive animation for a mobile application. There was a lot of buzz around the animation at the time. It was first shown on Dribble a year ago, and we even published the source code in Swift on our GitHub. Later on, various publications on how to make a similar swipe on React Native and Java appeared online. The case I will be using for demonstration is an onboarding flow. In my opinion, this is the most suitable way of implementing the effect when it comes to a mobile application. The onboarding always comes first for the user, so it can help you draw attention to the product immediately. Speaking of attention, animations are used everywhere. We try to implement them in most products that go live to strengthen the UI and improve the user experience. For example, we have recently developed and launched an online banking website. The result was a very light and youthful site that won some prestigious international awards. The highest points were actually awarded for the mobile version, which I'm sure you will agree is important in current trends. To see this website, use the link in the description. So, without further ado, let's get back to the tutorial. I am creating a new artboard in Figma. Pasting the logo. Let's not forget about the skip button. Creating the first header. Choosing the colors and correcting the line spacing. Now, let's add a few more text lines. We can use the lorem ipsum text for now. The project I am trying to reproduce is based on a real one, so I already have an illustration for the top of the screen. Making a carousel indicator below. Checking the spacing once again. Let's make a rectangle and choose purple for it. It will be a sort of call to action for the user. The idea is that when swiping, the next screen will be open with a liquid effect animation. I am now making a bulge in this area so that it is clear that you can either tap or swipe with your finger. The shape is ready, but now we need to add a button, aligning all of the elements again. The first onboarding screen is ready. I will now create the next one simply by duplicating it. Using another ready-made illustration here, I'm also changing the background color along with the color of the text and the functional elements so that everything looks in harmony. The rectangle on the right will be orange. The onboarding design is done. I have added another screen based on the same principle. Slightly reduced the letter spacing in the title font and arranged in order. Exporting the first screen in PNG format, it will be used as a reference for working in After Effects. I will now group the text layers and illustrations. Now let's export it all. Separately grouping the layers for the swipe button. It's time to launch After Effects and import the previously saved files. I select the reference layer with the right mouse button and then click on New Comp from Selection. You can now see the composition has been created. I will then transfer other layers and align them with the reference layer, making a rectangle as a background and dragging this layer to the very bottom. Now I'm starting to make the liquid swipe effect. I am drawing a rectangle on the right like it was done on the design stage. Converting the rectangle to Bezier path. I am drawing the bulge with the pen tool. And importing the button right where it should be. Now the animation itself. Adding the path keyframe, selecting the second keyframe, and at the same time editing the shape in such a way as to show the stretching. This effect will be replayed when we swipe across the screen with a finger. Setting another keyframe and shifting the paths to make a rectangle. This is still just a sketch. See, it's like we're stretching the shape with a finger and it then returns to its previous shape. It is obvious that we will need to make it look more realistic now. Adding more keyframes for shifting the shape to the left. I'm increasing the size of the shape to hide the white background under it. Copying the background color from Figma and applying it to the shape in After Effects. Adjusting the keyframes now. We will use the Motion plugin for configuration. You should already know how to apply the settings through the graph editor from the previous tutorials, but this plugin actually allows you to do it in one click. Correcting the shape a bit. Adding more keyframes to simulate the bounce effect. Now we need to carefully adjust all of the keyframes, choosing the right time intervals for them. I don't really like how the bounce effect turned out. Let's make one of the keyframes linear so that it will immediately bounce to the other side without slowdowns. That's better. Let's keep adjusting the keyframes. Now I need to add some keyframes for the bulge where the button is placed. The button should also slide out smoothly and follow the shape during the stretching. So we'll now work on the synchronization of these objects. Add in another keyframe. This is to enhance the effect of tensioning the shape itself. It's like pulling the rubber band on the slingshot. Going back to the button, I'm parenting the button layer to the shape layer to make it easier to sync. Liquid effect is done. All that remains is to make the screen switching. Duplicating these two layers and shifting them to the right, this will be the second screen. Repeating these steps for the third screen, copying the colors from Figma and pasting them in After Effects. reducing the time interval for the appearance of the shape and reducing the pauses. You can see the button blend into the white background, since it was originally created on colored backgrounds. It will therefore make the second state for the button in Figma. Replace the file in After Effects by pressing and holding the Alt button and dragging the selected layers. Adding the content for the second screen. Dragging the screen2.png layer under the shape and selecting the alpha matte parameter for it. Now the screen smoothly switches to the other, but the background of the shape has disappeared. To bring it back, duplicate the shape layer 1, drag it under screen2.png layer, and make it visible. I will do the same for the other transitions between the screens. To loop the animation, I drag the same piece of animation from the beginning to the end. And voila, the animation is done. In the previous videos, we received comments like, how do you transfer all these animations to the smartphone? This is done by our development department and is implemented through Swift or Java. The source code for this effect is available for everyone on our GitHub. But I would also like to say just a few words about how this animation was developed. Please keep in mind that I'm not a developer. The component itself is similar to the UI page view controller. It is a native component of Apple. We made a simplified version of this component using two delegate methods, will transition to and did finish transition to. This animation can be divided into two stages. The first stage is changing the shape curve while being dragged by a finger. We exported the shape itself from Figma in SVG format, and then selected the ratios that are responsible for changing the shape when swiping. The second stage of the animation is the fluctuations of the shape after you release the finger. This was done on the principle of spring pendulum. We have been changing the parameters of the spring until the desired effect was achieved as shown in After Effects. Thank you all for your attention and see you next time.